Well, hello and welcome. Dash Roth here, and this is Resident Evil 8, aka Resident Evil Village. We recently wrapped up Resident Evil 7, went through all the DLC, Not a Hero, and Zoe and Daughters, so we know how all that plays out. Mechanical endings, we save Mia, and I guess Zoe gets saved too, so that's cool. I figured since these games don't have manuals, there is something neat that was added, I guess later in DLC. Could be kind of spoilerish, but whatever, I don't care. But it's concept art for both Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 with the basically developer commentary. And I went through it and I was actually quite amazed at some of the stuff that was cut that makes sense in the overall arcing story of the game Resident Evil 7, where we'll get into it, but it doesn't make sense that it got cut, just that moving stuff around didn't make a lot of sense at the time. So we're going to go through that in this episode. We're going to go through the concept art and then Zoe's book that she wrote about the events on the Baker farm. But if you don't care about any of that, then you're more than welcome to go to the second video, which is going to be 00B, where we'll actually start the game proper. But okay, let's get to the bonuses. So, the tragedy of Ethan Winters concept art. So here's the Resident Evil 7. So this is the first one. So the what it says here is the art director's comment. Resident Evil 7 character designs included some character models that were different or didn't even appear in the final versions of the game, such as the dog. Chris was originally going to be early middle-aged. So there you have it. You can look at the molded. I personally like that molded looking better. Dave Anderson kind of looks, I don't know who the hell Alan Douglas is. Annabelle, I think, is his sister. So, I kind of like the human looking molded, but, let's see, let's get this back up. And then C's. All right. And then for this one, it says initial rough drafts of Ethan and Mia when they were not going to be married, but strangers. Ethan was an investigator and Mia was a missing person. I do kind of wish we would have had more to Ethan's overall story. I kind of like the investigator portion. Could have kept him married, but yeah, I don't know. It would have been more interesting, in my opinion, because right now Ethan's just kind of a nobody. We don't really know who Ethan is or what he was doing or anything like that. So it would be kind of cool to have some of that prior knowledge. All right, art director's comment here. This is the family photo of the Bakers. When this picture was planned, the old woman and the young girl were separate characters. See, and I kind of get that feeling with Grandma's room in particular. That's where I was like, oh, what if she was just inhabiting, like Evelyn died, like her body died out. She just took over Grandma's body and was living in there rent free. Apparently that's not the case. I don't know, but there is a separate room for Grandma's room. So. This one is, let's see here. Initial rough draft of the Baker family included a wide range of bizarre characters. They included a violent father, mother made of bugs, trapper brother, Mia was practically an invisible sister, twin younger brothers, and a crazy grandma. Yeah, I think the grandma would have been a cool addition, I think. Although the father up there looks pretty fucking awesome. Son and dog. Another rough draft of the Bakers has each member associated with a particular color. Jack was yellow, Marguerite was purple, Lucas was blue, and Zoe was red. Oh, look, Marguerite's got a bug in her back, coming out of the back of her head. Rough draft of Evelyn, Chris, and Dave. The young boy in the middle was originally the youngest baker, Remy, but he was cut. Evelyn ended up taking his place. See, based on that picture, that kid looks like a psycho. And reading the diary, and that's for Lucas, when Lucas is now 20 something, it's like, it just doesn't make sense for the room to be how it is. Like, it makes sense to have a younger brother there that's a psycho killer, in my opinion. Also, I can't get over the fact that Grandma looks... Oops, sorry. Grandma looks like the sniper dude from Snake Eater. I don't know why. But anyways. Okay, so Resident Evil, let's see here. We have art director's comment here. Jack's glasses were his key focal point for his character during early development. The image on the right is of his chainsaw fight. Yeah, that's pretty groovy. The left shows an early design for a mutated Jack where he looked more like himself, but this was later changed so the player could easily identify his weak points. The picture on the right is a design for Mia's colleague, Alan. It looks the same to me, honestly. Honestly, I kind of like this mutated Jack better than what we got. But, yeah, whatever. They both are fine. One idea for Marguerite's mutated form. We originally thought up a design similar to earlier Resident Evil games with lots of body parts coming out of her. But we ended up going for a new and refreshing design. I don't know about refreshing. Shit was disturbing, dude. I mean, I don't know. She's probably like the weirdest character in the game, in my opinion. But I do kind of like her turning into a bug. But I guess that's kind of what she was doing. I don't know. Designed for Evelyn's final form and lodged by mold. When we were designing her, we had to show each department how each part of her fit together with the head in the center. So that's just showing the final form. Nothing new or amazing there, but the size of Ethan versus the mold's kind of funny over there. These are rough drafts of Evelyn's final form. Her old woman form transforms into a giant monster that absorbs her body. That's kind of cool to see the storyboard there. The main antagonists were the Baker's family, so the designs of the general monsters and molded were some of the hardest ones. They needed to stand out without taking attention away from the Bakers. The Bakers look realistically human thanks to a technique using scanned photographs. We wanted the molded to not outshine them. And I don't know, like the molded are cool and all, but I like where they're still wearing clothes or whatever. I don't know. I guess it doesn't make sense when they're, you know, dissolving into the ground, but yeah, whatever. Fuck these guys. Designed for the four-legged molded. The name molded comes from mold and transformed. We wanted the enemy names in Resident Evil 7 to be ones that the Baker family might have come up with themselves. Designed for the fat molded. In the bottom right, you can see how the molded are made. The victims are kept in cages covered with mold, then left for 2 or 3 days to turn. See, this makes sense. Like when we get into the room next to the incinerator, we have all those tubs laid out. Like this would have been cool to see. Like this just makes sense. Even with the upstairs thing covered, you know, with the mold in the bathtub and stuff. And then the moment the molded are born. Like that's kind of like where you see the, you know, when we go through that room to get to the second Jack fight. Like, to me, that would have been neat to see. So, kind of sucks they cut that. Rough draft for a type of white molded that was axed. This was going to be a female variety that had tentacles resembling hair. Underneath the hair was the mouth-like appendage that extends out and attacks. There were also early development plans to have an antibody gun that would have been effective against the molded. That would have been cool to have in the game, honestly. I would have liked to have seen that. Designed for Marguerite's creepy crawlies, from the top there are adult and young man-eating insects, as well as man-eating spiders that live in doorways. They were made pallid in order to appear less repulsive. Insects found in some real abandoned buildings in Louisiana were used as reference. Art from early development of Resident Evil 7. This was the moment we decided the setting, and from there the whole game was based in the American South. The main dining room inside the house. There weren't plans for a main house and guest house at this point. This was drawn when we were coming up with ideas for the guest house and trying to work out the size and layout of the house. See, that room right there, with all the little effigies and all the plants, and I can't think of the word. It's not taxidermy for insects, but I mean, the family was into taxidermy, obviously, like with hunting and whatnot. But this would have made sense if this was like Marjorie's like little side thing of why she was into bugs. Like at this point, I just don't feel like we really get any explanation as to why she's like enamored with bugs. Like, I don't know. It's weird. An underground area where the family kept a terrifying monster that needed a large feeding hatch. Early concepts art of the guest house. The size is close to the final version, but the light coming in made it less scary. The final version was a lot darker. Concept art for the guest room, house, living room. This became the room where the VCR was found in the release version of the game. The layout became too difficult to understand and navigate in-game, so it got a complete overhaul. Concept art for the second floor of the guest house. This was changed to the third floor with a hidden staircase added. I guess they call the second floor because of the basement, because that's clearly where you got your hand cut off. Concept art showing Andre's corpse in the guest house basement. One initial idea was to have the player take the flashlight from Andre's body. That would have been cool. Concept art for the scene in the guest house where Mia crawls up the stairs towards. Yeah, it was very Evil Dead-ish. The final design of the main house was based on an on-site research of Louisiana. The outside of the Baker's home is based on plantation houses that date back to the American Civil War and the era of slavery in the U.S. Okay, well. A rough design of the main house. Initial plans had a windmill in the front yard, but later research revealed there are no windmills in Louisiana. The house was also surrounded by open land and not by the bayou, which didn't make it feel like a horror game at all. You could put it in the Midwest, Mid-South even. But yeah, I didn't know about no windmills in Louisiana. The talisman designed for Resident Evil 7, made by Jack out of cow heads and legs. We based it on images of mold, bacteria, and cells. Okay. Early development concept art for the main house. The final version did not have you enter through the front door. The layout for the second floor was also completely different. The dining room of the main house had a completely different feel from the final version. The room and lighting atmosphere changed after on-site research. One of the biggest differences was the main table. It used to be square, but we found a round table in the Louisiana home, which better suited the family coming together. Yeah, I agree on that. That does look pretty similar to what it looked like in the final game, though. The garage in the main house that you fight Jack in. Initial plans had the garage and boiler together in a single room. I don't even remember there being a boiler in that game. Yeah, a ton of water heaters, though. The sunlit entrance hall in the main house. This is very different from the final version with the grandfather clock in the center and curved stairs. See, I like this. This feels so much cleaner. And I don't know, I like this better than what they had finally, but yeah, whatever. That and I feel like this feels more plantation-y too, with the sweeping staircase. Until the final version, early concept art included a large open yard. This concept art for the entrance hall is much closer to the final version. The room is full of furniture and several taxidermy animals, giving it a lived-in feel. Yes. Still like that original concept art so much better, though. Concept art for one of the shadow puzzles in the main house. These rooms needed to be used for fights and puzzles, so we tried to make them as disconcerting as possible. I don't understand why they would have this. Like, he ordered this before all the events of this, so I don't get it. Like, why? Like, why would you have that? So I don't know. Shadow puzzle in the old house. That's the spider. And then a shadow puzzle in Lucas's room. The crow key, scorpion key, and snake key, and their doors. On the right is designed for the three-headed dog relief. You know, it's kind of funny when I was looking at this. It kind of reminded me of Doom's like key cards. Yeah, the blue key card, the red key card. So, I don't know. It's kind of funny to me. Concept art for the yard. There was always plans to have a trailer in the center of the yard, trapped by the house around it. Early on during development, Zoe's room was not going to be in the trailer, but a room in the main house which Ethan saves her from. The room was going to have a sort of Louisiana folklore theme to it. That would have been neat. Kind of nice to see her room in general. Like, she's in the trailer, but I don't know. It doesn't really feel like she's living in it, especially when you play through Daughters. So yeah, the old house was once situated on solid ground, but was flooded by a hurricane, which is why it was separated from the main house and barricaded up. Louisiana is a region that is often hit by major hurricanes, so we wanted to show that the Baker family were impacted by them too. Yeah, interesting note is that Louisiana's shoreline is receding, and that by like 2070, like New Orleans and a lot of the other places will be completely underwater, which is kind of scary to me, especially when you think about all of the, like, that's where a lot of our natural gas comes from, and a lot of refineries. One of our biggest shipping ports is out of there for that. So pretty interesting. It's also one of the most impoverished areas as well, because of all the shenanigans that the government's gotten up to. Well, local government and subsidies it's given to all the oil companies and everything else. So, but that's neither here nor there. You can see dolls in the concept art for the old house. We left objects associated with children all over the house because that was where Evelyn's room is. No. A web-covered room inside the old house. The concept art for the old house shows an image of a room with a severely damaged floor. Beyond that, you can see the staircase that leads up to the child's room. Marguerite walks down the corridor with a candle to receive mold from Evelyn. The destruction in the room was caused by a hurricane. To receive mold, so she just keeps getting injections of mold. The jetty behind the old house that leads to the bayou. The crow key is kept away from the house in a remote location so no one could get to it. Concept art for an overgrown greenhouse where Marguerite used to grow her plants. It was once a beautiful greenhouse that turned to ruin when Evelyn arrived. This is the location for the boss fight with Marguerite. Looks pretty similar to what we have. Concept art for mutated Marguerite, rather. Her arms and legs are warped in a terrifying way as she relentlessly pursues Ethan. Hate that fight, dude. The child's room in the old house that Evelyn lives in is full of toys for girls like a dollhouse and dolls. I'm curious who wrote that I will not be dead, I will not be bad or whatever. They never got into that portion. These dolls are unlike the ones in the entrance to the old house and are based on molded. Evelyn grows her family ever larger with the mold. A temporary design for the room behind the child's room where a life-size doll is seated instead of Evelyn. See, that's the thing. So were there two Evelyns then? Like that's the confusing part. And that's why it makes sense that there would be an old lady in the house where she took control of that when her body died. I don't know, man. The final design of the room behind the child's room where you can find the body of the D series. The ceiling was made to be low to give it a claustrophobic feeling. Or maybe I just don't understand what the D series is. If she's the E series, I don't know. Like, things could have been explained a little bit better. But I guess also if you're just Ethan, like they're just not going to leave like, hey, this is what all this stuff is. But I don't know. Concept art for Lucas's section in the game. When you enter the room, there are backlights which made it feel almost like a nightclub. This was also to give players a new, different sense of fear from the rest of the family. Blue and white were the key colors for Lucas. Let's Play written on the entrance to Lucas's section of the game. Continue into Lucas's area and it expands into white rooms covered in plastic sheeting. Halfway through development, we decided to make tripwire bombs Lucas's main weapon of choice. Those actually look a lot more wicked than having it on one wall and then having it like set up like that. That's way creepier. We wanted to make the design for Lucas's area different from the traditional haunted house. His avant-garde interests really stand out. It was difficult to get the right balance between crazy and comical. Concept art for when the four-legged molded first appears in Lucas's section. It just really just comes up behind you. More concept art for Lucas's area. A strange puzzle in Lucas's section where various items are laid out, but the room is painted white. This created a very unique space in the game. You can see a number of strange puzzles scattered about Lucas's section in this piece. They're based not on just Lucas's twisted interest, but on the concept of family and life and death. Such as a birthday cake being a symbol for life, while a picture of hanging corpse and grave are connected to death. Oh, that's a grave. I thought that was a bell. I guess death makes sense. The goddess's stomach symbolizes life, but is also accompanied by pain. I did not get that from that, but okay. The mold infection does not have a strong grip on Lucas. As a result, he is filled with the most hopelessness, joy, and desire for destruction. Concept art for a cut boat fight when me and Ethan escaped the house. The idea was that the fight with Jack would take place in the muddy waters. That would have been neat, actually. Concept art for the shipwreck. A destroyed tanker with Evelyn split in two with her powers. Louisiana used to have a thriving gas. It still does. I don't know why it says used. Has a thriving gas industry, a large number of tankers. Oops. Me and her colleague Alan get passage on the tanker from Europe to the US, pretending to be Evelyn's parents. Still is one of the largest in the world, so I don't know why it's like used to be. I don't know why this looks like it's inside of the ship. Like, I don't know, maybe I've never been inside one of the natural gas tankers, but that looks like a superstructure inside like one of the dome things. So, which I thought the dome things were used to, you know, hold the gas. But the aim of the shipwreck at the end of it was to give the player a renowned sense of fear, a change of pace from the excitement of fights and puzzles in the Baker house. Concept art for Ethan being trapped in the mold by Evelyn in the shipwreck. Concept art for the mine, just in front of Lucas's research lab. It's a salt mine, which is why the cave walls are white. Concept art for Evelyn creating mutamycite. Mutamycite. I can't remember how to say it now. The whole incident with the Baker family was caused by a single girl wanting to create a network of mold across the world in order to have a family of her own. Alright, now we're in the Resident Evil Village. Concept art. A concept design for Ethan from early on in Village's development. He had a backpack for his inventory instead of a suitcase. That suitcase is kind of weird. I like how the packs get bigger. This is funny. Like, it's the same pack, just bigger. Concept art of Mia reading the picture book. In our early draft, she was still recovering from the incidents during Resident Evil 7 and was in a wheelchair. Early plans had a mysterious masked person who saves Ethan. This was going to be Ada Wong investigating the village, but this was cut due to a number of conflicting scenarios. That would have been neat. She looks pretty badass in this, though, I will be honest. I like the Plaguebringer's mask. That's a nice touch. A rough draft of an early design for Dimitrescu? I know how to say it. It's escaping me at the moment. It's like Dimitrescu. Anyways, her concept was a bewitching vampire with giant garden clippers. Early development concept art for the Benedicto family, based on the idea of a ghost family. Their house was always going to be a single building in front of a giant waterfall. The family were rake-thin parents and children wearing strange masks. There's also a picture of wife. There's also a picture of the wife who threw herself into the waterfall due to a tragic incident in the past. And obviously I have nothing to comment on these other than that this is just what it is. I haven't played the game, so I'm fine with that. A rough draft of the monster Maru. He was always going to be a disgusting merman, and although his design didn't change that much, the parasite on his back was originally going to be a girl he once had feelings for. That's fucking awesome. You can also see the flooded village setting. Merman, Dad, merman. An early rough draft for the Wolfmen. There was going to be a scene where the young men of the village drank from a chalice and turn, but this was eventually cut. So we're entering the world of darkness. We have vampires versus werewolves. An early draft of Heisenberg's family. The biggest difference was that Heisenberg was going to be a twin, and his mother was a subject for brain experiments. Oh, that sounds cool. At least a mom is brain experiments. Heisenberg looks like the dude from Requiem. Honestly, that whole art just looks like something from Metal Gear Solid. Heisenberg's father was going to be the leader of the village, and the boss fight with the mechanical mutation was originally going to be with him. Early development rough draft of the leader of the village's religion. Before we came up with Miranda, he was going to transform into a dragon-like monster, but this idea was later used for Dima Citru's boss fight. Once again, they're using my likeness without permission. Early development concept art for the Duke, the Merchant. From the very beginning to the final game, he was always going to be a large character. The Duke is a merchant and a foodie, and was going to be the fifth lord in early drafts. In Resident Evil 7, we utilized the photo scanning technique for the character designs, but in Village, we decided to be more creative. I like that, and tried character designs that didn't look like regular humans. I appreciate that. I like just the slabs of meat hanging up behind them. The merchant's carriage. Duke travels with his horse and carriage all over the village. In his home business, it's his home business and means of transport. I mean, it doesn't really like he's really going to be able to move from that back part there. The symbol of the merchant is a lantern decorated with goat bones. The idea was that you would know it was a safe location even from a distance. We have a number of designs, but decided a round silhouette would be more impactful. Yeah. A rough design for the remains left by enemies when you defeat them. The overall balance needed to be achieved in the thumbnail image. The remains of Dima Citru and Valorak are different from the final version, which had a more ornamental feel. So I guess enemies leave stuff behind now. Oh, the remains. I guess you sell it for money. Gotcha. The typewriter for Village was designed to be distinguishable from previous games like Resident Evil 2 and 3. The costumes and objects are based on the 1960 designs, including the typewriter. Does look pretty cool, though. I do like the typewriter. I guess there's a thing where you can change the typewriter to like the tape thing in Resident Evil 7, but nah. Even from early development, the same gameplay as Resident Evil 7 was used, which meant using item boxes. However, as development went on, we decided to change the game to be more like Resident Evil 4 and remove the item boxes. Yeah, I'm fine with that, actually. That's his suitcase. It's actually pretty dope. Design for the labyrinth based on Castle Dima Citru. The labyrinths were designed as something you'd see at the end of the 19th century and were originally going to be tributes to the Four Lords. The labyrinth on the left is Benito's and was based on Donna's area. The path passes through a graveyard and over a waterfall via suspension bridges. The labyrinth on the right is based on Moreau's Reservoir with the windmills in the center. There is also design of the fishing village with boats when it wasn't flooded. Those do look like really cool Dioramas too. Heisenberg's labyrinth is based on his factory. It uses train tracks between a house and the factory, moving into the gold mines. Oh, it's just, it doesn't have the top. I was like, what's the difference between the two? But I see. It doesn't have the stack or the other. I got you. Early development concept art. Initial ideas had the story switching between the village in modern day and the past set in medieval times. I would have been curious to see how that plays out, honestly. Two early designs for altars in the church that displays a castle gate relief. An early design for an altar in the village that displays a castle gate relief. An early design for the safe rooms had a camera as a save point instead of a typewriter. Dude, that would have been kind of cool. What would you carry around? The bulbs? The bulbs were the important and expensive part of those cameras. Not to mention the film, but... Storyboard for the Lycans' first appearance. We wanted them to have a wild and animalistic image, unlike the zombies and ganados of the previous games. Those are pretty cool, though. Storyboard for Ethan's trial with all the lords. At this point in development, it was still the hag followed by the four lords. Ethan gets tied up again. Looks like something from Diablo there in the lower left. An early plot point was to have Ada disguising herself with the mask, help Ethan escape from his trial. I don't know, that would have been cool. I think she looks awesome in that suit, to be honest. The storyboard shows the end of the trial scene as well as Miranda's experiments. Miranda was initially going to be a researcher investigating the village's strange creatures. So I guess Miranda's going to be the Lucas in this game. Get Frankenstein. Concept art for the event that happened in the village before Ethan arrived. The surviving villagers had locked the gate because of the number of people killed by the Lycans, sealing it with the winged key. Castle Dimitritru's concept art. You can see Dimitritru casually drinking blood as if it was wine. I hope that's in the game. Concept art of the flying enemies in the courtyard of Castle Dimitritru. Early concept art of Castle Dimitritru. This was cut from the final version, but this is where Ethan was going to fight Dimitritru. It doesn't even look like a castle. It looks like a vacation house or something. It's a pretty picture, though. Concept art for the gate leading to the Lycans' lair. We came up with a few designs for the gate that leads to the stronghold. They all look pretty cool. Early concept art for the birth of Lycans. A victim is slowly encased in mold and then emerges transformed. So somewhat similar to what was happening in Final Fantasy. Resident Evil 7. I like that, actually. That's pretty cool. Maru concept art where he watches old romance movies and falls into melancholy. He also loves eating cheese. I hope that's in the game. I want to see this. Concept art for one of Donna's dolls. It has a hidden pair of scissors inside it that it uses to attack Ethan. Concept art for one of Donna's dolls that turns into a spider-like monster. I'm getting like the Doom 3 vibes with the baby heads on spider legs. We had a number of ideas for Donna's dolls, including one with knives coming out of its back and a few wielding weapons in their hands. That one on the right, though. Cut design for a large lichen who commands 2-chain Velorak. Various lichen weapons, including a spiked hammer, torch, and sling. Oh man, I can't wait to get domed by a sling. Various lichens weapons, including a hunting knife, a scabbard, and sledgehammer, and more torches. Lichen equipped with claw-like weapons, which are made from a variety of blades found throughout the village. Designs for armor used to protect the lower half of the body. All I know is I like that Iron Maiden one there. Look at the little teddy bear. Aw. The little bear. Concept art for a temple close to Heisenberg's factory. This was initially going to be the spot where Miranda sat on her throne and conducted the ceremony. Miranda's throne. There was going to be a scene where Miranda sat here holding Rose during the ceremony. Concept art for Heisenberg's factory where Ethan is chased by the Soldat series. If the reactors in their chests are destroyed, then the parasite inside will attempt to escape. Oh, that's cool. Designs for various Soldat reactors, but the final design was a grotesque mechanical heart. So they're not going with the parasite then? Guess we'll find out. Concept art of a day in the life of Heisenberg. Night after night, his modified henchmen dig up corpses from the graveyard to be used in his metal army. So basically, Frankenstein monster. So Heisenberg's almost like Dr. Frankenstein, it seems like. Boss fight with the mutated Heisenberg where he turns into his final form. That's supposed to be the guy who rides around on the lawnmower or whatever. Concept art for Chris is part of the game. Although we were unable to explore these characters in depth, the details behind Chris's team, the Hound Wolf Squad, have been pinned down. Storyboard from when the player takes control of Chris to the point where he infiltrates the village. One plan was to focus on each member of the Hound Wolf Squad. Wolfhound Squad sounds better, but oh, I see. So basically, like, one shows up like every so that would have been neat. I mean, I don't know how it plays out, but we'll see. Storyboard of Chris fighting alongside the Hound Wolf Squad inside the village. I'm taking that they're all gonna die. Like, honestly, it just sounds something like from freaking Metal Gear Solid again. Like, look at the names: Lobo, Night Howl, Umber Eyes, Tundra. Storyboard of the BSAA arriving at the village as well as saving Mia. Rough designs for a mutated Miranda where she was going to transform into a mold creature. The final design looks more like Miranda, which worked better for the plot. Looks like a fetus. Also, I wonder if they're going to bring in the flower from Resident Evil 5. That's kind of what it's looking like. Storyboard for the end game with Ethan's death and Chris's decision, creating a sense of uncertainty as a helicopter flies over the village. Yeah, I already knew that. Yeah. Like I said, spoilers, but whatever. I already knew that was going to happen because of the DLC that comes out, so. Long ago, a child was born to a family. The family lived in peace. Oh, this is a storyboard for the end credits. Long ago, a child was born to a family. The family lived in peace for a while. One day, a sickness fell on the village, and one by one, the people began to die. The wife too succumbed to the illness. There were more graves than survivors. It wasn't long before the daughter got sick, but Miranda used the Kadu to create a miracle, and she became a saint. Then the villagers affected with the parasite Kadu turned into lichens. All right, and it takes us to the end of the concept art. So like I said, some of that stuff's pretty cool. And it's funny when we're diving into this because one of my favorite all-time books or book series is outside of Robotech. Anyways, is Monster Hunter by Larry Carrera. And basically it's humans fighting mythical monsters and so on and so forth. Like, and the US has something called the Monster Control Bureau, where basically Frankenstein, same as Agent Franks, works there. It's a whole thing. But one of the things I came up with was like, what if Umbrella was making bioweapons to fight like an eldritch horror, or like an old one or something like that? Like they knew something was on the horizon, so that's why they were really creating these rather than just being weapons of destruction used by, you know, governments and stuff. But that's what ended up kind of happening, but that the original intent was to fight like these eldritch horrors. I'm kind of excited to see what they explore with the vampires and kind of like, you know, Heisenberg and the lichens to kind of see where they go with it. But I always thought it would have been a really neat kind of like twist that for all along we needed the BOWs to fight some like this old one, like this is say Cthulhu. I don't know. Like, I think that would have been cool. Because as it stands right now, like I don't understand their whole scheme of wanting to like, I don't know. I guess I can understand some of it by watching some of the movies, but even then it's still just like, okay. Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and read the report on the events after the Baker incident from Resident Evil 7. And this was written by Zoe Baker, if I remember correctly. So the Baker Incident Report. This report depicts my investigation into the events after the incident at the Baker's residence. The Baker Incident, July 2017. A number of people lost their lives at the residence in the middle of the American countryside. It was a truly horrifying tragedy. I still don't know the exact number of victims. 2 survivors, husband and wife, Ethan and Mia Winters, were able to shed some light on the events which would have shook the world. But there was a cover-up and the Winters vanished. There is someone or something powerful acting behind the scenes. I just know it. I decided to investigate, to follow the breadcrumbs of what happened after. How can I be so sure? Because I'm someone who was there. First of all, how was this incident reported upon its discovery by the world? Let's take a look at some newspaper clippings from that time to see how the news was manipulated. Discovery of the incident. Local newspaper, the Dulvey Daily, July 22nd, 2017. Family of 4 found dead in Dulvey. Dulvey County Sheriff's Office have reported that the Baker's family were found dead in their home in North Dulvey on the 21st of July. The surrounding details are currently unknown apart from the deaths of Jack Baker, his wife Marguerite, their sons Lucas and daughter Zoe. Deputy Sheriff Dave Anderson has also been missing since the 19th, according to Deputy Sheriff Riley Whiteford, who visited the Baker's residence around the time of his disappearance. Social Post Media, July 22nd, 2017. That thing with the dead family, wasn't that where the giant black monster was? You think they were eaten by that thing? No way, it's not some cheesy horror movie. Old man Jack did say some crazy stuff. I remember getting him a lot of fights. Probably killed the whole family, then offed himself. That sounds pretty accurate. Transcript of a complaint to the county sheriff's office. I don't believe it. It's been 2 days already, but you haven't reported anything else. Was it murder, an accident, suicide? And what's with the National Guard sealing the place off? What all are you hiding? Very little was reported shortly after the Baker incident was discovered, leading to rapid spread of rumors and speculation. The Bakers were completely isolated from the rest of the community, and sealing off the entire area around their home set things in motion. I recall there sure was a lot of public pressure on the press for information. I admit that at the time I was being held in quarantine by a certain organization and couldn't see any of the news for myself. They finally allowed me to watch TV a few days after, and I was flabbergasted by the stark difference between the reports and reality. The cover-up. Local newspaper, the Dulvey Daily, July 30th, 2017. Sheriff's Office say Baker family killed by natural gas. To follow up on the deaths of the Baker family on July 21st, the Dulvey County Sheriff's Office stated, it's highly unlikely that their deaths were caused by hydrogen sulfide. It's highly likely that their deaths were caused by a hydrogen sulfide leak. The local area is surrounded by wetlands, which combined with the concentration of pollution could have led to the buildup of toxic gas that claimed the lives of the Baker family. The leak has been blocked, however. The authorities have sealed off the area in order to prevent any further accidents by a huge metal wall, mind you. The victims included were deceased Jack Baker, Marguerite Baker, Lucas Baker, Zoe Baker, Dave Anderson, Clancy Javis, Andre Strickland, Peter Walken. Injured Ethan Winters and Mia Winters. Social media post, July 30th, 2017. Toxic hydrogen sulfide gas? They're kidding, right? I heard there were soldiers, tanks, helicopters, the whole shebang when it happened. The government's up to something for sure. And here comes the conspiracy theorists. A bunch of nut jobs, just like you, came out of the woodwork during the Raccoon City incident too. But there was a black monster in that satellite photo of the shipwreck. You have to admit, something's fishy. Magazine Inspector. An interview with Sally Baldwin, professor of geological sciences at Medina University. Interviewer. So you don't agree with the report that the sheriff's office, that it was a natural gas leak? We can't rule out completely, but it's very unusual, all things considered. Hydrogen sulfide builds up in areas where there's a lot of volcanic activity. The town of Dulvey, however, has no volcanic activity anywhere in the area. My own geological survey in 1998 revealed absolutely no hydrogen sulfide in the area. A tragic gas leak. That was the official stance on the Baker incident. But this is a complete fabrication. Nothing about the murders in that house, nothing about the terrifying monsters that stalked the halls and lived within its walls. It's evident that someone was keeping the truth hidden. The thing that surprised me the most was the fact that my name was on the list of the victims. The organization still had me in quarantine. I was terrified the whole thing would come to an end with me actually being among the deceased. Thankfully, it was a needless fear. The organization gave me a new identity and let me go. I guess they figured I was harmless and didn't know anything else. I was allowed to live as a new person, apparently for my own safety. I tried to contact the 2 other survivors, Ethan and Mia. They saved my life, after all, and I wanted to at least thank them. But they'd completely disappeared. Well, actually, technically, Joe saved your life, but I know the organization knows where they are. So, I decided to investigate the BSAA. The BSAA, Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, a counter-bioterrorism organization sanctioned by the United Nations. It was formed to combat the rise of bioterrorism after the collapse of the Umbrella Pharmaceuticals. They had combated terrorism across the world, including China and Europe, and are high regarded as bioterrorist police. The BSAA finally intervened in the Baker incident and were the ones that saved Ethan, Mia, and I. Thanks to my detainment in their facility, I have a pretty good idea of who their members are. I was very, very persuasive when it came to asking them about the organization and top secret documents. The topic I was most interested in was, of course, the Baker incident. I wanted to know the truth about the truth the BSAA was hiding. The hidden truth. Magazine inspector. Secret meeting between a sheriff and international organization. One of our reports has unearthed evidence that a secret meeting happened between Dulvey Sheriff's Coleridge and an international organization known as the Bioterrorism Secret Assessment Alliance, or the BSAA. Many have voiced their concerns about the legitimacy of the sheriff's office statement that the incident at the Baker estate was caused by a toxic gas leak. Inspector suspects there might be more to the story, and the sheriff's office and BSAA are covering something up. We reached out to the sheriff's office, but they refused to give a statement. Edgar McClintock. The BSAA Investigation Department. Final report on the Baker incident. The following details the investigation into the biological disaster in Dulvey, Louisiana, also known as the Baker incident. This document is for employees with Class B clearance and above. We have concluded that the Baker incident was caused by the accidental contamination from a prototype bioweapon known as Evelyn. The residents of the Baker household were contaminated by a mold-like pathogen, mutamycite. The Evelyn was capable of rapidly reducing this mold and enabled her to control those infected both mentally and physically. The Baker family were not the only victims. Evelyn manipulated the Bakers into kidnapping dozens of people. These victims were infected and mutated into monstrous creatures called molded. Evelyn was originally created in a Munich research facility by the international crime syndicate The Connections. The SAA dispatched a team to destroy Evelyn. The mission, however, was not successful and Evelyn escaped. Evelyn was then transferred to America by The Connections via ship along with her caretaker Mia Winters. However, Evelyn managed to escape during transport. She murdered most of the ship's crew and destroyed the ship. We believe she then abandoned the vessel that had washed up in the bayou near the Baker residence. The aforementioned operation to eliminate Evelyn was BSAA's failing. We cannot deny that, as it resulted in Evelyn infecting innocent civilians. The BSAA will have to take responsibility should these events ever come to light. As such, we advise that a cover story is fed to the media and BSAA's involvement is kept quiet. End of report. E-Series Mutamycite Analysis Report. Biological analysis report on the E-Series Mutamycite, henceforth referred to as Mutamycite, recovered from the Baker residence. The Mutamycite has similar characteristics to Cladosporum, black mold, and has incredibly high reproductive properties. It acts like a parasite, infecting the cells and rewriting the DNA of its host. Furthermore, when it combines with other bacteria, it creates its own muscle tissue, brain, and nervous system. As such, an organism infected with the Mutamycite transformed into a type of undead monster. End of report. I mean, are they really undead? It seems like it's kind of alive. Just my opinion. Bioweapon report file. A human biological weapon constructed through the implantation of Mutamycite into a human embryo. Has the ability to infect with a fungal network and control hosts through brain wave signals. Evelyn was driven by a natural instinct to create a family, and the affected victims she controlled were her surrogate family. However, due to an innate defect in her chromosomes, Evelyn's cells reproduced at an accelerated rate, causing her to age rapidly, then die. End of report. The Connections report. The Connections is a crime syndicate with no base of operations. Their organizational structure is unknown, however. However, we are aware of their actions on a global level. In recent years, they have been practically active particularly active in Eastern Europe. Most of their activities appear to revolve around the creation and selling of bioweapons. Evelyn was one of their products. Reliable sources have confirmed that the criminal organization was founded by Brandon Bailey. Bailey is a shrewd man and was once the right-hand man of Oswald E. Spencer, CEO and president of the Umbrella Corporation. His current status and location is unknown. Bailey and Spencer became estranged due to differing visions, and Bailey used the connections he made working as a director of the Umbrella Africa Research Center to branch off and found the crime syndicate. The organization's main goal appeared to simply be commercial gain. Further investigations are in progress. The search for more money. So we don't know where Bailey is. Brandon Bailey. According to the BSAA's top secret documents, the Baker incident, as I knew it, was just another statistical blip to be recorded. That fateful night when the tanker washed up in the bayou, Jack took that little girl from the shipwreck and into our house. Then she turned everyone crazy, made us into monsters. BSAA knew this when they manipulated the media and covered the whole thing up. An easy thing to do for an organization with direct backing from the United Nations. They couldn't let anyone know it was them who let Evelyn, the cause of all this, escape. I continued to investigate and finally caught wind of Ethan and Mia's location. Whereabouts of the Winters. Where the Winterers are. BSA Investigation Department. Transcript of interview with Ethan Winters. Audio begins. Shall we begin then? Please state your name and occupation. Ethan Winters. I'm a systems engineer. How many times do we have to do this? When are you going to let us go? Our interviews until now have been necessary to conclude if you had any ulterior motives. Now we understand that you're just an innocent victim in this whole incident. So you're letting us go? Yes, but we have one condition. What's that? We would like you and your wife to remain under our supervision. In exchange, we will provide you with a new home and a new country. What are you saying? You want us to take on new identities? Wait, a new country? You want us to move to another country? To a lovely country in Eastern Europe, to be precise. Europe? You gotta be kidding. Why the hell would we? You are both witnesses to what happened. There was a certain criminal organization who was looking for you. We are doing this for your protection. Think of it more like witness protection. But all the way to Europe? Without any say? You can forget everything you experienced here. Start a new life. It's better for both of you that way. There's no way we can fit everything that happened. I want to talk to Mia about this. Let me talk to Mia. Audio ends. BSA Investigation Department. Transcript of interview with Mia Winters. Audio begins. According to our examinations, you're mostly free of the mold now, Mia. Did you tell him about my past? No. As a sign of appreciation for your cooperation, BSAA has not divulged your involvement with the connections. I just want to return to a normal life with Ethan. Forget everything. Audio ends. I thought he knew that she was with him. I mean, she kind of told him. Ethan and Mia are in Europe. I was ecstatic that I finally had a clue into their whereabouts. However, that was where my investigation hit a brick wall. The SAA security is tight, and even with some acquaintances helping me out, no one knew the Winters' exact location, which makes sense when you consider an international crime syndicate is after them. 2 years have passed and no progress. I ended up working as a rookie reporter for a small newspaper in New Orleans. The Baker incident has all but vanished from people's minds. Then one day, a letter arrived at my tiny apartment. It was from none other than Mia Winters herself. Mia's letter. Hey, how you doing? It's been a while, hasn't it? BSA won't let us send any emails or letters, but I gave this directly to an employee to give to you, so it should be safe. Our location is still hidden. I've always wanted to tell you how thankful I am. Ethan and I would have died in that house if it hadn't been for you. It must have been hard to fight all alone for so long, so thank you. I can't tell you where we are, but we're safe and happy. I feel like we finally settled down into our new family. The house the BSAA gave us is huge. I don't know what to do with it all. Oh, that reminds me. There's a reason I wanted to write you. Well, yeah, you're writing the fucking letter. Ethan and I had a baby. I included a picture of her with this letter. I warn you, she's so cute. That does not look like Mia. Aw, the cute baby though. Look at you. We named her Rosemary. Isn't it such a wonderful name? I hope you could come and see her someday. Ethan wants to see you too. I've learned all kinds of local dishes. I'm sure you'll like them. No need to reply. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Take care of yourself, okay? Sincerely, Mia Winters. A letter from Mia and Ethan out of nowhere? And they have a daughter? I'd almost given up finding them. I couldn't hold back the tears. I'm glad the three of them are happy in their new life. Just as I went to close the mailbox, I spotted another envelope. It was embossed with the BSA logo, the sender unknown. It contained the following. BSA HQ, warning letter to Chris Redfield. Chris, we are growing concerned with your recent activity. According to recent reports, you have taken personal control of an elite unit, the Hound Wolf Squad, without permission, and you've accessed a number of top secret documents also without permission. What the hell are you doing? What are you and your squad doing in Eastern Europe? Who the fuck is this Miranda that keeps popping up in your correspondences? What's with the investigation into the Winters family? You've been very critical of BSAA since the Baker incident. You might be one of the founding original 11, but I cannot let you continue to run around unchecked. So I will repeat it myself. What the hell is going on? BSAA HQ investigations. What, no name? This sounds very personal. There is one thing scribbled on the back of this. It's not over. This is everything I have on the Baker incident. It's purely for my own reference. I don't intend to send it out to the general public. I will continue my investigation. Many have tried to get in my way, slow me down. But I'm doing this for my family. I won't give up. I know that someday I'll be able to give Ethan and Mia my thanks directly. At least I pray I can. My name is Zoe Baker, a survivor of this tragedy. The Baker incident report end. Well, and there we have it. The concept art and the Baker incident report. Which all leads into the village, which is what we're going to be doing here next. I kind of want to have this like in the actual village playthrough, but I'll just keep it here for right now. But because that is some good, prefacing there. So maybe I'll have it in both. Maybe I'll preface the start of the next video with this as well for those that, and you could just skip it. I don't know. We'll see. But anyhow, guys, that's it for this. In the next episode, we are going to dive into Resident Evil Village and see what happens and where we're at. So until next time, friends, stay safe and God bless, and see you next episode. Bye-bye.